A naked woman strangled and abandoned.
You've got a situation with so much rage involved and so much brutality.
She died in a struggling position. In my opinion, she's been punched probably more than once in the face.
Her killer leaves behind a disturbing calling card.
A human bite mark on her left breast.
As the case unfolds, investigators realize they've been fed a pack of lies.
I'm getting frustrated and I'm getting angry at this.
It makes us question the validity of his original statement. What does he really know?
It's up to Lieutenant Joe Kenda to untangle this mystery and convince a monster to confess to an unthinkable crime.
I looked at him and I said, you know, you've been lying to me since I met you. And if you're going to be a liar, you should at least have the decency to be good at it. People are very capable of horrific kinds of behavior, and the more emotional they are, the more horrific the behavior. There's one thing that never changes: murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I'm Lieutenant Joe Kenda. I've solved over 387 homicides. Somebody has to take control. Somebody has to look out for the victim. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved.
July 31st, 1992. It's morning in Colorado Springs. Downtown resident Frank Buford is heading out for breakfast on his way to work.
Typical morning. He's going to a fast food restaurant to get his coffee.
As always, Buford cuts through Frank Waters Park to enjoy the early morning peace and tranquility.
Frank Waters is just this tiny little sliver of a park in this pretty little Victorian neighborhood. It's very quiet.
But that serenity is about to be shattered. As he's walking, Frank Buford spots something in the grass.
This man walks closer and closer and realizes what really is on the ground. It's a woman's body. She's naked. She's dead.
"12 blocks away, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is settling into his own morning routine.
I come to work early. I always do. And I'm having my coffee and reading my FBI reports and looking at things and trying to sort of plan what we're up to that day. And the phone rings.
Lieutenant Kenda.
And when the phone rings in my office at that hour of the morning, it usually means that somebody just made a plan for me.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
When Kenda arrives at the scene, the normally radiant little park has taken on a somber air.
In this park is a nude woman. There is a polka dot black and red blouse over her face. She is wearing nothing else.
Her skirt or pants and shoes were found in the general vicinity.
The blouse is stuffed deeply into her mouth, tied very tightly around her neck. There's blood coming out of her nose, some swelling around her cheeks. In my opinion, she's been punched, probably more than once, in the face. She died in a struggling position. She was trying to save her life. Cause of death is most likely ligature strangulation.
As he examines the body, Kenda makes another discovery, this one highly unusual.
I see on her left breast a human bite mark. The skin is not broken, but it's bruised from the application of teeth.
The amount of force required to produce the severe bruising leads Kenda to a chilling conclusion.
The possibility is enormous that there is sexual assault involved.
Anytime you find a dead body, you're going to ask a lot of questions as to why, how, who the person is. In this case, when a body's found naked in a park like that, you think, is this a sexually motivated crime? Is this person a victim? You just start all these questions.
A situation like this, you look around and you go, well, maybe I ought to be a little more fastidious about how I go places or locking my doors. I think always you carry things from those situations away with you.
Sexual assault is not about sexual gratification. It's about the punishment of women. We have the attributes of that in this victim.
Lieutenant?
The coroner's office will need to look for signs of sexual assault during the autopsy.
We're gonna need a rape kit. And it looks like she's got a bite mark on her left breast.
We also need a forensic odontologist to take an impression of that bite mark. That's very critical.
Similar to fingerprints, the arrangement of a person's teeth leaves a one-of-a-kind imprint, so a bite mark on a victim can eventually be compared to a suspect's teeth.
When I eventually have my killer, he's going to have one hell of a time explaining how his teeth made a bite mark on the victim moments before her death.
But before they can make that comparison, it falls on Kenda to figure out who's responsible for this savage crime.
You're looking at this girl and you're thinking, who did this to you? This area is a busy part of town. It is residential, but only by a very short distance. Commercial district begins at the street west of where we are.
It's really a very peaceful little neighborhood, and a neighborhood where there was almost no crime. I mean, you literally could have walked around that neighborhood even as a single woman in the middle of the night and probably not had any problems.
There are restaurants, there are convenience stores, gas stations, all kinds of activity. There is activity during the day in these locations, probably not at night. So my impression is this crime probably occurred in the middle of the night. There's too many people around for it to have occurred in the evening or early that morning. There's too much activity. So we're probably looking at a 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning incident here. Who brought you here in this little tiny park, almost in the middle of downtown Colorado Springs, and decides to take your life?
No sooner has he asked himself that question than one of Kenda's detectives finds another piece of evidence.
Hey, Lieutenant, you wanna look at this? What have you got? Looks like an envelope, maybe.
He slips an envelope out of the toes of the shoe, and it's addressed to someone, and it says Rob Wilhoff. Well now, who are you, Mr. Rob? And why is this envelope in our victim's shoe?
Unfortunately, answering that question won't be as easy as opening up a letter. The park sprinkler system kicked in prior to Kenda's arrival, and the envelope is soaking wet.
We want to make sure that we preserve any physical evidence that may be tied to the envelope.
You're overcome with getting into that envelope, and you can't because it's wet. And if we open it, we're going to destroy something, maybe.
Kenda places the envelope on the back of a police cruiser to dry in the hot July sun.
And you're standing there drumming your fingers. The last thing you want to do in a murder is drum your fingers. But there are times when you have to. You just have to wait.
In the meantime, Kenda turns his attention back to the victim.
Who is this girl? Where is her purse? Where is her ID? She didn't fall out of a passing airliner and wind up in this park. Our killer has apparently taken these things. Does he not want her to be identified? Is he afraid if she is identified, it leads directly to him? Why is she Jane Doe? Because that's who she is at the moment.
In order to positively identify his victim, Kenda calls in the neighborhood sector officer, Jim Loring.
Officer Loring? Detective Kenda.
Those officers are assigned to work in a specific area for an extended period of time. They meet people, they talk to people, they become very dialed in.
It takes Officer Loring mere seconds to identify Kenda's victim.
Do you recognize this girl?
Yeah, that's Shirley Shook.
And he looks at her and he says, her name is Shirley Shook.
How do you know her?
She was a witness in a burglary that I responded to right over here.
And he points right beyond the park to a house. She lives at that address and she was a witness in a burglary, and I talked to her.
A few weeks earlier, an apartment in the multi-unit home where Shirley Shook lived was burglarized. She couldn't provide Officer Loring with any leads, but he remembers her as being pleasant and helpful.
Great. We have now taken an enormous step. We not only have a name, it looks like we even have an address.
Kenda turns his attention to unlocking the mystery of the waterlogged envelope and Shirley's missing purse.
We were fortunate in the fact it is a warm day, and it dried very quickly.
So what do you think? You think we can open it? We'll give it a try.
We were able to open it up and notice that there was a note and some money inside.
It says, Rob, here is some of the rent money. I still owe you $55, but my purse was stolen, and I don't have the money right now, but I'll get it to you as soon as I can. Shirley. Okay. After reading that note, I'm no longer as concerned about the missing purse. She just explained it. It's been stolen from her. And that's why she has this in her shoe, because she doesn't have any place else to put it.
Kenda also assumes that Rob Wilhoff is Shirley's landlord. Hopefully he can shed some light on the case.
Can I help you?
Yeah, Colorado Springs Police. Can we talk to you for a minute?
Hi.
We talked to Rob Wilhoff. He is quite distressed and quite shocked.
I can't believe this.
We say, well, explain a little bit to me. What's her personality? What's she like?
Can you tell me anything about Shirley?
She was just such a friendly girl.
Rob Wilhoff explains that Shirley Shook was originally from Baltimore and had only been in Colorado Springs for a year. But in that time, she'd made quite an impression.
He paints a glowing picture. Said she's a nurse's aide and she works in a nursing home in the area.
I mean, everybody loved her. She was just such a friendly girl.
She had a beautiful smile. She was a very pretty woman, and she was just so nice.
Whenever she'd meet people, she just was always real polite, and she was always offering to help people do stuff and everything. She was a very, very sweet girl.
But Shirley's ability to see the good in everyone sometimes landed her in hot water.
Shirley made friends very easily. She was always smiling, and she'd be friends with just about anybody, even people that most people would avoid.
And according to Rob, much of the drama in Shirley's life came from her boyfriend, Kevin Dawkins.
You know anything about him?
Well, I mean, they fought all the time. We heard all kinds of noise through the walls at night.
Is it physical? No, it's not physical. I've never heard that. I just know that they argue, and they do that pretty frequently.
Talk to me like that. You're lost your damn mind. Get up.
So now we have an identification. We know who she is. We know where she lives. But we know something else. She's got a boyfriend she argues with. That's interesting.
All right, well, can you take us into Shirley's apartment? Let us look around a little bit.
Sure, come on in.
We knock on the door. There's no response. Rob turns his master key in the lock, and as he is turning the lock, the door opens from the inside.
Hey, police, let me see your hands. What's your name?
Kevin.
And standing in front of us is Kevin Dawkins, which makes me even more interested in him. I've already made the decision right then and there. He's coming to our turf.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is investigating the murder of Shirley Shook, a beautiful nurse's aide found naked in a city park. Curiously, the killer left a bite mark on her left breast. a disturbing calling card that Kenda is intent on matching to a suspect.
We have a forensic odontologist come to the morgue and take photographs of the bite mark on the breast for possible comparison at a later time.
Shirley's family back in Baltimore is devastated to learn the news of her death.
I was just sad, just very sad, hoping that they would find the guy that did this.
According to Shirley's landlord, she and her boyfriend, Kevin Dawkins, had a stormy relationship. Kenda needs to know if Kevin murdered his girlfriend in a fit of rage.
People are very capable of horrific kinds of behavior, and the more emotional they are, the more horrific the behavior.
Any ID on you?
His initial approach is, we're the police, how dare we come to his place?
What are you doing here?
I ain't gotta tell you that, nigga.
Hey, you and I need to talk.
Which makes me even more interested in him. Why are you so evasive? We ask him if he knows where Shirley is, and he says no.
When's the last time you saw her?
Seen her last night.
And we say, well, unfortunately, we've found a dead body in Frank Waters Park across the street, and our information is that it's in fact Shirley. Kevin comes unstuck. He starts to cry. He's very emotional.
Kevin may be upset, but that doesn't mean he's innocent.
Is he our killer? He might be.
All right, listen, we're going to need to ask you a few more questions. Do you mind coming down to the station with us?
Kenda kicks off the interview, making it clear Kevin Dawkins is his only suspect.
Right now, I like you for killing Shirley.
I confront him about the arguing that everybody talks about.
We got several witnesses that say that you two fight all the time.
When the 15-watt light bulb goes on over his forehead, that maybe he's in a jam here, his attitude changes.
I mean, yeah, we get into arguments every now and then, but that don't mean I killed her.
The more I listen, the more I start to believe him. He is trying to help us now.
And he's able to say that he was actually at one of the local bars in the downtown area with Shirley on the evening before the morning we found her dead.
He says that he and Shirley and a neighbor named Mark Manning, who is a white guy that lives in the building, they go to a nightclub the night before, around midnight.
According to Kevin, he, Shirley, and Mark spent the evening at the Paradise Lounge, playing pool and drinking until last call.
He says Mark Manning, the neighbor, says, well, he's got to leave because he has to work tomorrow. So Mark makes his goodbyes.
A few minutes after Mark left, Kevin and Shirley followed suit. Although normally easygoing, Shirley could get moody if she'd had a few too many.
Shirley has a Jekyll and Hyde personality when she's drinking. She can fly off the handle for no reason at all.
Hey, why you gotta cause a scene every time? Man, where you going?
They're outside the bar. He says something to Shirley she doesn't like. They get in this verbal argument.
As the argument heated up, a silver car was driving slowly through the parking lot. Shirley flagged it down.
Can I get a ride?
So you get in the car with strangers now?
And the driver says, sure, I'll give you a ride, and slams the door, and the car drives off.
Shirley, what you doing? Get back!
And he says he had a bad feeling about that.
An emotional Kevin Dawkins tells Kenda that was the last time he ever saw Shirley.
When he finds out that she is actually deceased, he's bothered by the fact that he let her get in the vehicle.
I should have never let her get in that car.
He is generally distressed about her death.
Kevin's statement solidifies Kenda's theory that Shirley was the victim of a sexual assault. Only the assailant wasn't Kevin, but rather the mystery man who gave Shirley a ride.
He gives us a very generic description of a vehicle, doesn't give us a whole lot of leads to follow up on.
All they know is that it's a silver Toyota. Kenda issues an alert to patrol officers on duty.
Yeah, I need to issue a bolo for a silver Toyota.
Plate unknown. Possible Caucasian driver.
That's all we've got, and that's what gives me that sinking feeling. If this is our guy, How the hell are we gonna find him?
With no other leads, Kenda returns to Shirley's apartment building to speak with Mark Manning, the friend and neighbor who accompanied her and Kevin to the Paradise Lounge. He hopes Mark caught a glimpse of the silver Toyota.
Hello?
You Mark?
Yeah, what can I do for you?
When I first meet him, smells like he's still drinking, even though he apparently slept the night before. And I asked him about it.
How much did you have to drink?
I had a bottle of rum and 8 or 10 beers.
Uh-huh. Well, then you do like to drink, don't you?
You know Shirley Shook?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say we found her murdered in the park across the street.
What?
Mark was shocked to learn that Shirley was dead. Absolutely shocked. He knows this girl. He considers her to be a friend.
When you went outside, did you see anything unusual? Any vehicles, pedestrians, anything that seemed out of the ordinary?
No, didn't see any cars. I just came out of the front door and then, well, I walked home.
At first, Mark Manning seems like a dead end, until he offers up a new lead.
He talked about seeing Shirley having some kind of confrontation with an individual in her apartment about a week before.
Hey, sorry to bother you. Can you help me, please?
Shirley comes to him. Shirley's upset and said, "There's a guy in here bothering me. Would you get him out of my place?" So Mark says he goes over there. He encounters a black male.
Hey, man, time for you to get out.
I ain't going nowhere.
And he gets in a fight with the guy, physically throws him out.
The lady wants you out. Let's go.
Just put your hands on me. I'll mess you up.
Just go. Come on.
Mark tells Kenda the guy goes by the name Sinbad, but that's all he knows.
Mark says, "I bet he's the guy that killed her."
I bet he did it. He did it.
Why would you say that?
I think he was trying to rape her. Now we have a new guy to play with. Who is Sinbad? And why is he in this girl's apartment?
Kenda now has two scenarios that could explain Shirley's murder. Either the stranger in the silver Toyota did it, or perhaps the stranger was just a good Samaritan.
Thanks.
No problem.
And the killer is actually Sinbad.
Is he not taking no for an answer and he winds up killing her? Could he fit into that scenario? Without question.
Kenda checks with Shirley's boyfriend, Kevin Dawkins, to see if he knows the mysterious Sinbad.
We go back to Kevin, who's now back home again, out of the police building.
Kevin, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, man, what's up?
Do you know Sinbad? No, I don't.
No, I ain't never heard no Sinbad.
Never heard the name at all?
You don't know him? Nope. Don't have any idea who he is. Why would he be here talking to Shirley? He says, I don't know. I never heard of him. She never mentioned him. I don't know who he is.
Since neither Mark nor Kevin know Sinbad personally, investigators are stuck with only a street name to go by.
A lot of people have nicknames, so when we get that information, Sinbad, it's not a very good lead. It is something else we can follow up on. With the limited leads that we did have, we still don't have anywhere really to run with this investigation. We have potential stuff. We have minute pieces of information that may tie the whole case together once we have a suspect. But at this point, it's really not leading us in any direction to try to find somebody.
Sure, come on in.
Kenda speaks with other neighbors in hopes one might recognize Sinbad. He starts with Robert Sheets, the victim of the burglary Shirley witnessed a few weeks back.
You know a guy named Sinbad?
Black man in his early 30s. I don't know who he is.
Though Robert denies knowing Sinbad, Kenda can tell he's holding something back.
Listen, Robert, if you know something about this murder investigation you're not telling us, you could be in a lot of trouble too.
Kenda puts the squeeze on him until he cracks.
Look, I didn't like the lady. Everybody knew that, but I didn't kill her.
He hates our victim. He thinks she's responsible for his burglary.
She had something to do with it, I'm sure of it.
In a lot of cases, especially in homicides, usually the victim knows the individual. In property crimes, a lot of that may be well, I don't trust my neighbor here, or I have a problem with this person, they may be trying to retaliate against me. He believes Shirley was involved in a burglary of his residence. That's potential motive. So we want to follow up on that, find out what he knows about Shirley, why he believes that she was involved in this. It's another point of contact to get further information about our victim, and hopefully that one piece of evidence that might tie us to a suspect.
How do you know that?
Kenda asks Robert Sheets to account for his whereabouts the night of the murder. Robert tells him he was at home having a small get-together with friends. During the party, Robert openly blamed Shirley for the burglary.
I hate that man. My place was robbed a couple days ago.
Eventually, one of his friends, a guy named Willie Black, better known as Chicago, chimed in.
Chicago threatened Shirley.
You know what, man? I can mess her world up for you. I can take care of that for you.
What does that mean? Well, I took it as a threat. So do I. Then what? He left at 3 o'clock.
Kenda is intrigued. If Chicago left Robert Sheets' apartment at 3 a.m., it would place him and Shirley Shook outside the building at roughly the same time, assuming the mystery man in the silver Toyota had driven Shirley home like Kevin Dawkins said.
Is Chicago our guy? Certainly could be. Knows her name, makes threats, knows she lives there. Is it possible? Of course it is.
Kenda runs a background check on Willie Black, aka Chicago, and discovers the man has a lengthy criminal record.
It starts like they most do in minor offenses, moves to more serious crime. It's a progression effect. You see that a lot in criminals. They start out shoplifting, they wind up killing somebody 15 years later.
Kenda now has a new name to add to his growing list of potential suspects.
We have Sinbad, we have Toyota Man, and now we have Chicago. We're developing quite a list. Here, we're not getting anywhere with the list.
But unlike his other two suspects, Kenda knows where to find Willie Black.
Willie is not exactly a new person in a police building. When we first confront him, he didn't know nothing.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I said, Willie, let me tell you something you do know. You had a long history with police departments. You know the game. The difference is, this time we're not playing a game. We're talking about first-degree murder.
Whoa, man. Whoa.
You understand what that means, don't you, Willie?
In Colorado Springs, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is on the trail of not one, but 3 suspects connected to the murder of Shirley Shook.
When you're in the investigation, I mean, you're always looking for information. You're always trying to strive and get more information, try to tie up a case. We don't like to have unsolved homicides. We want to work for that victim, and we want to identify the suspect and let the courts deal with it. At this point in the investigation, we're kind of stagnant. We don't have anything really to go on. We're going back over every piece of information, trying to identify or work out a possible suspect. You get very frustrated. You don't have a good solid lead to run with. You don't have information to further your investigation, and it is frustrating.
So we're now developing a field of suspects here, which can be very good, but I'm going to feel better if we can focus, and we're not able to do that yet.
The first is a stranger in a silver Toyota who supposedly gave Shirley a ride home the night of the murder.
Don't you put your hands on me.
The second is a man nicknamed Sinbad who allegedly accosted Shirley in her apartment. The third is Willie Black, aka Chicago, who was overheard making threats against Shirley just hours before her body was discovered. So far, Kenda's been unable to track down the first 2. But he's struck gold with Chicago.
We explained to him our situation, and more importantly, we explained to him what his situation is. We're investigating a homicide. And for the moment, you'll do as to who we're interested in for this crime.
Kenda tells Chicago he knows about the threats he made against Shirley Shook the night she was killed.
He knows Sheets. They're there having a few drinks. Sheets is mad at this girl, whoever she is.
I told him that I would mess her world up for him. That's it.
Why would you say that?
Just to be saying something, man.
He admits he made threats, but he says he didn't mean it at all.
I don't have nothing to do with that, man. I was just talking.
Unsure if Chicago is telling the truth, Kenda pushes for an alibi.
Where'd you go when you left the party?
Chicago claims he and his girlfriend left the party and went straight home.
And she'll vouch for you.
She'll vouch for me.
We subsequently were able to contact the girlfriend and confirm that alibi. That basically removes him from the suspect list.
I can mess her world.
Is he threatening Shirley? Technically, yes. In reality, no, he isn't. Are you gonna hurt that girl for him? No. I said that to him, just to make him happy. That all works. And I like when things work, based on my knowledge of human nature.
All right, you're free to go, for now.
Kenda crosses Chicago off his list of suspects, but he's no closer to catching Shirley's killer.
We are still hunting for the gray Toyota with Mr. X in it, and we haven't found Sinbad yet either.
Lieutenant Kenda.
The call is coming from the coroner's office. They have the autopsy results.
This woman was in fact killed by means of ligature strangulation.
The coroner also tells Kenda that the bite mark on Shirley's breast is defined enough to compare to the teeth of any suspect Kenda might bring in. But what the coroner says next hits Kenda like a ton of bricks.
Really?
The coroner finds no trauma to the vaginal vault or any further evidence of sexual assault.
Nothing at all.
The coroner's findings call into question Kenda's driving theory about the crime's motive.
What if this is consensual sex? What if this is just two people sitting on the grass in a park on a warm night and something goes wrong? Maybe it's that and not a rape. I'm getting frustrated and I'm getting angry at this. So I have a team meeting.
Listen up, guys. Here's what we got so far.
And I say, hey, we are chasing ghosts. And I am tired of chasing ghosts.
We don't even know if these guys even exist. And basically, we've gotten nowhere with this.
We're going to start over like we don't know anything about this. We're going to go back to the bar. I want to know more about what might have happened in there.
All right, let's go.
It's Saturday night at the Paradise Lounge. Kenda knows he's going to need help finding the right people to speak with.
You know Shirley Shook?
Shirley Shook, yeah.
The observer in a bar is a bouncer. He's not serving customers. He's not making drinks. He's watching.
Any of your friends in here tonight?
Yeah, Cynthia, the blonde with the ponytail right there.
The bouncer points Kenda in the direction of a regular, Cynthia McCollum.
Cynthia?
Yeah?
You friends with Shirley Shook?
Yeah?
We need to talk to you for a minute. You mind stepping over here?
Okay.
Cynthia tells Kenda she saw Shirley the night of the crime.
I was sitting in the back of the room and she walked in with Kevin and the white gentleman she was with. And she came and we hugged.
Good to see you.
Kenda surmises that the two men Cynthia is speaking of are Shirley's boyfriend, Kevin Dawkins, and their neighbor, Mark Manning. But what Cynthia says next changes everything.
I was sitting at a table in the back and they were sitting at the table next to me. Shirley was in a very good mood that night.
So good that when Kevin Dawkins got up to play a game of pool, Shirley and Mark cozied up to one another.
I saw them kissing and giggling and laughing and having a good time.
Kenda decides it's time to have another chat with both Kevin Dawkins and Mark Manning. He starts with Mark.
The next time we bring Mark in, not much has changed. He still reeks of alcohol, and it's like 10:30 in the morning.
Let me get right down to it, Mark.
Mark, we went back to that bar, and those people, they talk about Shirley sticking her tongue down your throat. You seem to remember anything about that? He goes off the handle.
I wasn't making out with her.
He denies everything. I never kissed her. She had a boyfriend. I could have had her anytime I wanted, but I didn't want to get involved in her in that way.
Mark Manning is saying one thing,
No.
but his eyes suggest the opposite.
You're lying, Mark, and you are kissing each other. You are denying having physical contact with this victim, who the last time I saw her was naked with a bite mark on her breast. Now I feel terrific. And I'm no longer thinking about guys named Chicago and guys named Sinbad. I'm only thinking about you, Mark. Just you.
The investigation into the murder of Shirley Shook is now entering its second week. Lieutenant Joe Kenda is focusing on a man eyewitnesses saw kissing Shirley the night she was murdered, her neighbor, Mark Manning. But when Kenda questioned Mark about it,
I didn't make out with her.
he denied any romantic involvement.
It makes us question the validity of his original statement. What does he really know? Was he hiding something?
All right, you're free to go.
We have to let Mark go. I can't keep him. I have no grounds to arrest him.
Hoping to build a case against Mark Manning, Kenda circles back to an earlier eyewitness, one who saw Shirley and Mark on a near daily basis, their landlord, Rob Wilhoff.
Did Mark and Shirley have any type of relationship, anything going on?
Oh, no, she wasn't interested in Mark. She was more into that Kevin guy, like I said.
While Shirley and Mark weren't involved, Mark definitely seems to have been interested in her.
When I said, the strangest thing he said to me, the day of her being found dead, Mark came to me and he said he wanted to move into Shirley's place.
Did he tell you why?
He said he wanted to be near her soul.
I loved that girl. And I think if I move into her place, I could be in touch with her spirit. And Rob looks at me and says, I thought that was really weird.
Did you end up moving in?
No, he moved out the next day completely. Yeah, he didn't even pick up his security deposit.
Interesting. So we go back, we think this over. What if he's not in love with her? He's obsessed by her. He sees this pretty woman passing by his door constantly, and he just becomes overwhelmed by her. What if he wants to be with her? And the night in the bar, he is with her. And what if he meets up with her after she leaves? They go to the park, and they talk, and they kiss. And then something goes wrong.
Stop it!
And Mark kills her. Could that work? I think it could.
Our next major step is to locate Mark Manning. We're able to confirm that he is now in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. He is there serving out a sentence on a DUI conviction.
Perfect.
Glenwood Springs is 3.5 hours away. That doesn't stop Kenda from paying Mark Manning a visit.
Surprised to see us, Mark?
His face just collapses when he sees us. We're the guys he hates. Now we've found him in Garfield County. We sit down, we say, Mark, we think maybe you're involved in this.
We know you had something to do with this.
Same story. Oh, no. No. I didn't hurt her. I couldn't hurt her. She was my friend. He still denies any romance.
I didn't touch her.
I looked at him and I said, Mark, I'm embarrassed for you. You've been lying to me since I met you. And if you're going to be a liar, Mark, you should at least have the decency to be good at it.
You guys leave me alone.
Ignoring Mark's outburst, Kenda goes in for the kill.
So if you're telling the truth, you're willing to take a polygraph test?
Because if you would do that and you pass it, then we actually will leave you alone.
Mark agrees to the test.
Yeah, I'll take one.
The polygraphs are unique in the fact, yes, they can't be used in a court of law, but they do provide pressure on an individual.
Kenda needs a confession, and to get one, he'll do all he can to make Mark feel like a murder charge is inevitable.
You want to put this person in the weakest possible position emotionally.
Just before Mark's polygraph, Kenda surprises him with a trip to the hospital. Armed with a warrant, a nurse collects hair samples and blood samples.
We explain that to him. Well, we're going to compare these to items we recovered from Shirley's body. We don't say any more. He doesn't know what we have. He is worried about that. You can see it in his face. Then we say, and Mark, there's one more thing. We have a forensic odontologist. He's a dentist.
The odontologist takes an impression of Mark's teeth.
Why are you doing that? Well, she had a bite mark on her breast, Mark, and human bite marks are identifiable. You probably didn't know that.
After collecting the dental impression, Mark Manning is escorted into the polygrapher's office and strapped to the lie detector.
How you feeling, Mark? A little nervous? He's just gone through medical procedures designed to recover physical evidence from a crime he knows he's committed. He is maxed emotionally, and that's where I want him to be.
After running down a rogues gallery of potential suspects, Lieutenant Joe Kenda believes a drunken encounter between Mark Manning and Shirley Shook may have led to her murder. To confirm this, Kenda is ratcheting up the pressure on Mark, hoping he'll crack.
Now it's time for your polygraph.
Did you strangle Shirley?
No.
Am I a fan of polygraphs? Absolutely not. But what I am a fan of are statements.
Did you strangle Shirley in the park?
No.
It doesn't matter what I think of a polygraph. It only matters what the subject thinks of it.
Do you know for sure what Shirley was strangled with?
No.
Afterwards, the examiner gives Mark the results.
See these peaks and valleys? That indicates deception.
You are lying. Mark is now at his weakest emotionally. He feels trapped. He's looking at graph paper on a machine, and it all looks very scientific. And he immediately says to the examiner,
I did it. I killed her.
Well, my. They say, okay, Mark, the game is over.
You want to tell us what happened?
I was so drunk.
Mark kissed Shirley at the bar. But as long as Shirley's boyfriend, Kevin Dawkins, was around, Mark had no chance with her. He headed back to the apartment.
Go to bed. See you guys.
But as fate would have it, Shirley and Kevin got into a fight a few minutes later, and the stranger in the silver Toyota gave Shirley a ride home, where she and Mark ran into each other again.
She comes walking past his door. And she says hello, he says hello back.
According to Mark, at that point, Shirley asked him to accompany her to the park.
He says she wants to have sex with him. She gets undressed. He gets undressed. They were kissing and they were making out.
Mark claims that during their sexual encounter, something about Shirley's demeanor changed.
He says he was drunk. And he doesn't remember what it was, but she said something to him, and it set him off. And he grabbed the blouse out of the grass, and he wrapped it around her neck. And And he said, I don't know my own strength. And she was fighting and trying to scream. And I had to quiet her. So I stuffed the blouse in her mouth and I just kept pulling on it until I knew she was dead. And you just left her there. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I bet you are.
If Shirley really did say something to Mark that enraged him, what was it? Mark maintains he was too drunk to recall, but Kenda has his own theory about that fateful conversation.
He is infatuated with this woman, and he finally has his opportunity. Here he is, naked in the park with the love of his life. And because he's got too much alcohol in his system, he's unable to physically perform. What if she insults him? What if she says, "What's the matter, Mark? Aren't you a man?"
What's wrong with you?
Stop it, it's not funny.
Oh my. And his feelings of euphoria turn to rage. How dare you stop my dream?
Mark Manning's guilt was further cemented when investigators compared the impressions from his teeth to the bite marks on Shirley Shook's breast.
Our odontologist was able to say that the bite marks were consistent with Mark Manning's.
Police never identify the stranger in the silver Toyota, nor do they ever track down the mysterious Sinbad, but they have no reason to believe they weren't real. 6 months after his arrest, Mark Manning pleads guilty to second-degree murder. He is sentenced to 36 years in prison.
She was always friendly and always looking for a good time. What makes me so angry about it is to bait her, strangle her. Nobody deserves that.
Mark Manning was such a narcissistic coward that even once he admitted to the murder, he would not admit that he remembered why he killed her.
He would not ever say what that was, whether it was the alcohol playing a part to where he didn't know, or he just refused to tell us because of some factor in his mind. We don't know what that was.
They should have put him away for life because Shirley did not deserve to die that way. She was too kind-hearted.
She was a sweet person, really miss her.
I miss her smile.
I think that Mark had very strong feelings for that girl. I don't think his plan was to do that. Shirley finds herself with an individual that she doesn't realize is obsessed with her. I think that Shirley thinks this is a very casual encounter. She doesn't understand that the last thing it is for Mark is casual.